Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to F1 Manager 23, episode 88, driver development update, and I'm kind of pissed off. Flourish, her normal, 2 points. One for cornering, one for adaptability, which I absolutely hate. It's damn near maxed out. I'm kind of almost wanting her to get it now so I can finally stop having that be her one attribute that keeps leveling up and up and up and up. And max it out, there's nothing more that can go to it. Such a huge waste of points. Imagine if we could redistribute those 30 attribute points, drop down to a 64, right? Still wouldn't be anywhere near her lowest. Would be near, but still wouldn't be her lowest. Redistribute 30 points. Give her 15 in reactions. Give her 15 in overtaking, and she would be a completely different driver in 19 out of 20 races. But what's making me even angrier is Tanaka only getting 2 points. At least it's to smoothness, a place where she desperately needs it. It's a +2 there. Cornering, of course, is still incredibly important for her, and with her overtaking and defending scores so low, it's rough, right? Where it was her lowest. It's now matching overtaking. Oh no, defending at 49 is her lowest. At least Brun has had a better run here. +1 to cornering, +1 to braking, +1 to smoothness, and +1 defending, all areas that need it. But if she's ever going to get a seat, whether it's away from Tanaka or whatever, 48 control is not going to cut it. 40 accuracy is not going to cut it. She's going to make mistake after mistake after mistake with those types of ratings. I mean, we've seen how bad it is with Tanaka, who's a 72.65 in those two areas.
Our Formula One season continues here, in the Republic of Singapore. Singapore's Marina Bay is a floodlit extravaganza for the senses and a true test for F1 drivers. Cars are just inches away from the walls on this tight street circuit, and even at night, the air thrums with heat. Singapore's streets are a constant challenge for drivers, where one lapse in concentration can easily see them hit the wall. Downforce is the name of the game here, and teams will need to add as much as possible to gain an advantage. Final checks are being carried out on the grid, and it won't be long until we get underway. I suspect that we'll all be closely following Charles Leclerc in this one.
Yeah, it's a P5 start. The podium's in sight, but there's a lot standing in their way.
And it looks like we're good to go. We're just moments away from the Singapore Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Okay, we are racing in Singapore. This is probably the last proper throwaway race of the season. Tanaka did qualify decently well in 15th, but it looks like she's going to get beat off the line here by Zhou to drop to 16th. Flourish qualified last. I did, as it's predicted to be a throwaway race, I did happen to put on the more used parts, the ones that are a little bit lower on their lifespan, a lot of 66% kind of territory, even 48 on the ERS. And as for our other 77, 65, so, not great. Not great for the components. The reason being is, while this is not Monaco, overtaking is possible. It's very technical. The walls are very tight. It's a difficult track. This is definitely a driver's track. Downforce obviously is really important and can help carry you through, but it's just a difficult race to score points at. This is one of the first races that I ever won at, though. Perfectly timed safety car, that being F1 Manager 22. Perfectly timed safety car, and coming out on softs when others didn't change, and losing some track position, but just going like crazy on the overtakes from that point on. Let's back off now. We did underfuel by 2 laps, so we got to watch out for that. Safety cars are a very normal thing here, and that should help us get a little more pace. Florsch did overtake Maloney, so 19th for her. Tanaka gets to her 15th, gets back to her 15th anyway. Things to watch out for. Dragovic, 10th currently. Russell just behind. Joe already out of DRS range, but Tanaka goes for the overtake, backs off, and then instantly loses 2 seconds and then gets overtaken by Gasly. Florsch, meanwhile, gets around Hadjar up to 18th. Tanaka back around Gasly. DRS is effective here, but a gap is a gap and it's hard to overcome. Tanaka keeps overtaking Gasly, but then a lap or 2 later, Gasly re-overtakes Tanaka. So back and forth with those two. Tanaka has gotten away from Gasly this time around, and no, not the case. Piastri is actually at the front of the group, but Gasly has lost Tanaka, and now Florsch is the one who's looking to try to slingshot and get into that gap to get up to 17th. But we're into the first pit window already, down to 41% for Tanaka. It's lap 16. We've gone pretty damn quick through all that. Fuel recovery has been very minor through 16 laps, though, or 14 since we lived it. We've gained about 5/10 in 14 laps. At this rate, we can expect to recover maybe 2 kilograms the rest of the way, which means we are a little bit on that light side. We are going to have to lift and coast at some point. Florsch going backwards for some reason. We were trying to overtake Gasly, and there's that thing of you try to go for an overtake and you back off and then somebody else slots into the gap instead, especially when things are close together. And when it was us and Gasly at the front of the group, we were just over a second behind Zhou, but Piastri goes to the front and starts backing us up right away. So Piastri is slow and bringing us backwards. Russell did get Dragovic, but Albon also goes backwards and swaps positions. So basically it's those two, still Dragovic there in 10th. That's the other battle to keep an eye on. And Sargent up in 13th is at least a little bit competitive, and the first pit stops begin with the Ferrari. 2 laps to go for Tanaka, and at this point, being that she is in that traffic and not losing any further ground, we'll definitely keep her right there on the back of it. Florsch is closer to her pit stop, but I think at this point going longer could be good for her. For Tanaka, we've got to worry about the can she make it to the end of the race type scenario. Florsch, we don't have to worry about that as much. So actually maybe an early pit stop for Florsch and getting out into clean air could be a good thing. So, yeah, Florsch, we're going to pit early. We're going to try to get her out into some clean air where she might be able to gain some track position from an early pit stop. Nope, missed it. Too late. So in Florsch's case, we're going to back off and wait one more lap. Tanaka is going to go this lap. It's cleared out in front of us as Piastri has pit. So Tanaka is now on her in lap and holding up the show. No DRS. So now she's the one leading the train. And somehow Florsch has gone to the back of the train. Florsch is now 15th. Leclerc has slotted in and overtaken her already. But she was ahead of Hadjar just moments ago, and now not at all the case. Hadjar overtaking Tanaka. So Hadjar is somehow managing to go forward, and both of our drivers are going backwards on these in laps. But Florsch has to wait one lap because Tanaka needs to pit now. Had we gotten it in last lap, that would have been great, but not to be. So that's 2 extra laps for Florsch. Tanaka, for her stop, 2.333. That's a good stop, but that's about where you come out at. She comes out ahead of the Haas, but a huge gap to the next car ahead of her. Sargent has already pit, right? 7 seconds? Holy crap. And there's Piastri on mediums trying to go by. And does go by. So not where you want to be. But Florsch about to enter pit road. Can we get ahead of Maloney in the pits? Are we fast enough to do that? My guess is not. Just wasn't quite up on the gearbox, and that's a slow stop at 2.6, and we come out closer. Actually, we do come out closer, but still behind. Flourish with the standard soft, medium, soft, where Tanaka, we're trying to put her on the soft so she can get some clean air and make a run. But yeah, look how far behind they are. 4.5 seconds. 1 lap later. She pits 1 lap later, and they are that far behind. So undercut, very powerful here. Hence the 2 laps earlier would have probably seen Flourish in a much better position than she is. And suddenly we are 18th and 20th. But the good news is the 2 Haas drivers have dropped way down the order to 16th and 17th. Then checking in with the Aston Martins, Gasly, who pit very early, gains a lot of track position with that undercut, and Sargent, who also pit very early. So the Aston Martins go very early, and so far anyway, it's paid off really well for them as they've moved up to 10th and 12th. They are on softs. Verstappen and Bourchier looks like they're going to try to go the distance, or are they going to... No, I think this is a 2-stopper no matter what, even if you choose the hards. After some pit stops by others that came a little bit later, we find ourselves in 15th and 19th. A little bit better off positionally. And the Aston Martins are going backwards. Oh, Gasly just now pit. Okay, Gasly's down to last place. Oh, dang. It's Sargent, though, who's a threat. Others already making their second stops here at lap 28. No. Still first stop. Just coming super late and losing a lot of track position. The Mercedes pitting very late. Come back out. But they're on hards. They're going to try to go the distance. So there is some attempted one-stoppers out there. But they lost a lot of track position. The field really begins... or at least for the last points, really begins with Sargent in the Aston Martin holding things up. Russell, not that far ahead of him, but had gotten around and slowly started pulling away from Sargent. Remember, he started the race behind him, and I would expect that gap's going to grow and grow and grow over time. It's out of 5 seconds when it was 4 just a couple laps ago, but anyway. So starting at this group, Sargent starting to go backwards. That's the big one to watch out for, though. We do not want Aston Martin scoring points. And Drugovich, who moments ago was down here, is up to 10th. Tanaka is going backwards. She's still somehow going backwards. Maloney, Flourish, Gasly. A little bit too far behind, I think, to be in this race. And then Tanaka is last of all of this. And don't know quite how that happened when she was in 15th. Just a little bit. This shuffle of positions has definitely not gone our way. Right, Drugovich is moving up. Sargent's hanging in there. Drugovich got around. Like, Drugovich is flying. It's on the softs. Sargent's on the softs win early. Magnussen's on the softs. So you can see how they're starting to go backwards. But, yeah, rough. Tanaka's got to pit soon, and she's just hanging in there. 3 cars at the back, all on hards, ready to go the distance. 4 cars up the grid. Optimal lap here. Okay, good. Flourish in traffic at 17th. Tanaka's up to 14th for the moment, but again, this is a lot of just pit stop strategy stuff that's seeing some cars pit a little bit earlier than us, like Russell, Sargent already. Tanaka down pit road. She'll temporarily be down to last place from this. 2-4-6. Not a great stop, but just about average. Lap 40, and we have only recovered a little bit of fuel, so we need to at least conserve. But track position is really important right now. Let's wait until those pit, see if she comes out ahead of anyone, and then we'll try to conserve. We just wanted to get up to temperature here briefly on this outlap. It's a critical outlap, but we don't want to overheat either. 3 cars in the pits right now. And we're starting to fall into that range. Done a lap. Let's go ahead and settle in. One push out lap. She is still 20th, and she's the first one on mediums that's going to try to go the distance. So that's a little iffy. Oh, geez. There's quite a few others that have pit. Russell's ahead of Flourish and has pit twice. That's how far down she is. Flourish is just really off it here. Cornering, remember. Cornering is a bit of a weakness for her, and this is a track where cornering is really important, and that's why Tanaka has been ahead of Flourish today. There's other aspects that are limiting Tanaka, but this is clearly one of those tracks where she's got an advantage over her teammate. And Flourish is last place of all of those on one stop right now. She will be on softs to the end at least, and I think we can start to push for these last 2 laps. Tanaka ahead of Maloney. Second and a half. Let's start to conserve with Tanaka just a little bit. Recovery is not happening very quick either, right? She's 1/10 better off than Flourish now after about a lap. So that's, which means if it's going to be a 1.5 kilograms and we're only gaining 1/10 a lap, that means it might be taking as long as 15 laps to get the fuel recovery done. Shocking that there has not been a single incident today. Not one. Okay, that was less than 2 full laps to get to 2/10 gained, but Flourish, I think I might wait 1 more lap also on this one. We already waited 1 lap earlier, and see how the softs will hurt to the end. But here an undercut is important, so you don't want to wait too long either. So I think we'll just go ahead and do it on the scheduled lap. She'll make those softs work to the end. So she's suddenly off the pace. How Drugovich just flew up on her and overtook her just like that. Not many cars left to pit. Looks like 4. Looks like 4. A lot of cars on the hards. Not too many on the mediums, and Tanaka's going to have a hard time trying to make that last till the end. Maloney's caught her and overtaken her. So being off the softs has already slowed her up. As predicted, this is just not looking like our day. Flourish. Down pit road. Final time today. 4th of 4 stops for us. Nothing fantastic, nothing awful so far. We had a 2.6. We were a couple tenths off. And we've had another 2.6. So a couple 2.6s, a couple 2.4s. A couple average stops, a couple slow stops. Nothing great. Flourish comes out in last place. She needs to start lifting and coasting. She's already down to last. There are other cars pitting though. Let's give them a second. Let them make their pit stops. See if we can maybe, just maybe, get an advantage on somebody in the field. That puts Tanaka 17th, Flourish 20th. Not dead last on the day, but not looking good. And there's Haas and Aston Martin, 10th and 11th. Last place we want to see them right now, with their pit stops done. And all because they made an undercut work on the first stint. And yes, you got faster cars coming from the back chasing, right? Top 13 all pit early. Top 13 all went to the hards early, some of them very early, with attempted one-stoppers, and you find them right at the front of the grid, with others chasing on the 2-stopper. There you go. 4 one-stoppers out front. So strategies are quite clear, and which strategy has worked out the best to this point, with 15 laps to go. That's going to be the big question as Maloney gets around Tanaka again. So down to 18th and 20th for now. But with those pit stops done, we need to get the fuel right and quick. So let's see what happens. With 6 laps to go, I've just gotten the fuel right. Tanaka has fallen to 19th, but she's still just behind Gasly. But her mediums are struggling. We're slowly topping up, so she's got some battery to try to make an overtake. With DRS, she's keeping up with Gasly just fine. And Flourish is beginning to catch back up since we stopped lifting and coasting. I think we're good now on battery. And it's lap 62. Lap 62 of 63. But we still have 2.5 laps to go. We still got a little ways to get through this thing. Not a lap down. Stroll in a McLaren leads this race from Sonoda in an Alpine. Leclerc, Ocon, Norris, Sainz. You're starting to see some of those early strategies not pay off as well. You're seeing those one-stoppers fade. And we're starting to see the 2-stoppers that pit late come back up the grid order. But only a few of them are making their way through. Dragovic, though, out of the points. Sargent, out of the points, going backwards on those used hards with, somebody like Pourchaire come flying through, Verstappen come flying through, making a lot of overtakes. But we are struggling to get to the end of this race. Tanaka down to 30%, Florsch down to 39%. Let's go neutral there. And final lap has begun. We've got a lap and a half to go ourselves. Only 2 cars have made the one-stopper work. It's Norris and Sainz. The other 2 ended up going for a 2-stopper anyway. Those 2 are dropping back pretty quick, but they are definitely making it work. The others that pit that much earlier ended up going backwards. That was Verstappen and Pourchaire. Pourchaire barely in the points. Verstappen is back up to 6th. Last lap of the race. Tanaka, push, overtake, deploy. She's in that 19th. Can she get up around? Florish is 3.5 seconds back, so we're just going to cruise for her. She's too far down to try to do something, but Tanaka, 8 tenths. Can we at least get 18th? Four tenths behind. Flap wasn't open, even though we had a DRS sector, and we were 8 tenths behind. We must have been closing up pretty damn quick because, yeah, we should have had it. One more turn, and our only overtaking place that remains is going to be here right now. And there goes the battery. Neutral. 3 tenths behind. Not even close here. Not even close. In fact, we fell back to 9 tenths there at the end. And Florish 19th and 20th. But Haas and Aston Martin both just missed out on points. I'll take that. We knew that it was going to be rough for us. For one thing, I didn't put the best parts on the car. For second, we saw the undercut be effective for the most part.
Well, I think
and
most people
yes, a couple faster cars
really
came
deliver
through
here.
in the
And it's
end on the
disappointing
alternate
finish
strategy,
outside the
but
points.
for the most part, the undercut was the way to go. And we missed Tanaka's undercut by 50 meters on the call. They tried to send her around for another lap, which then became Tanaka's lap, so I had to send her around for yet another lap, and that 2 laps later made a big difference for Flourish. Otherwise, I think she would have been not only ahead of Tanaka, but she would have been a little bit higher up. But even then, we're probably talking 15th, 16th, right? Hadjar was where we were at with that. So I don't think we would have been racing with Dragovic or Sargent in the end. But the biggest thing is our 2 direct competitors did not score points. That was round 16 of 23, so we're now getting into a phase where I've got better components for just about every race the rest of the season than what we had today. So we might have sacrificed one day for the sake of others. We knew it was going to be bad, and like I said, a couple circumstances get us maybe 3-4 positions out of that. And yes, it sucks that we were last today, but that was to be expected. And the drivers, with that 7 races to go, right? Well, final third of the season. Tsunoda leads over Verstappen and Ocon, with Norris all 200 plus points. Even Lance Stroll is within 100, and that 25 today certainly helped him out quite a bit. But McLaren stealing the points when there's a battle on ahead is, well, not the expected outcome. Red Bull getting just 22 points today, but they actually expand their lead over Alpine by 3 points. Now 42 ahead, very much the battle still on. Mercedes scoring 16, Ferrari scoring 19, and it's the 5th place team, McLaren, getting their 2nd win of the season. Ferrari, not a single win this season. Mercedes have 4, Alpine have 5, Red Bull have 5. This has been what I was talking about, though, with that car. It's close. We technically have the best car, but it is so freaking close. We're not the best in any component. We're not the best in any area. But the collective whole, our car, on average, is a better car than the other cars. But it's super, super, super close. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. Yes, Red Bull has got a points lead and Alpine is 2nd, but you're seeing a 5th place team grab their 2nd win, and they've got 5 podiums, and they've got a fastest lap, and they've dominated at times. And with 10 drivers that are 90 plus, there's a high set of, there's 5 teams dominating. You would think McLaren could and should have even more than what they have right now. And then it drops off. Alfa Romeo get 2 points today to pull away from AlphaTauri a little bit, and they've cleaned up majority of the points. They've each had 1 podium this season. And then Haas, us, and Aston Martin cleaning up the rear, but all of us have points. And that just shows how close the entire grid is. Tanaka's 2.33 was the fastest pit stop today, but Flourish had the pair of 2.6s. So our 2.3 and our 2.4 was Tanaka. Our 2.6s was Flourish. So it knocks her down a little bit. And we actually end up losing 2 points on Red Bull in that chase for the fastest pit stop award that would be for back-to-back years. Yeah, there you go. There's your 2.6s and 2.3. 2.3 and a 2.4. And the 2.4 was slightly below average, so I think that was essentially average or just slightly better than, and that was definitely 2 slower stops. I mean, that was nearly a 2.7. Well off the pace. No mistakes, though. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.